Okay, I think we'll start. We've got one coming, haven't we? Okay, thank you for attending this meeting of the Sandwich Town Council Maddox Working Group. I'd just like to introduce Lester, who's a retired headmaster of St. Manwell School, so we can talk to him as members of the he's a local resident as well. Okay. So item 1, apologies for absence received.
No apologies have been received.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. Receive any declarations of disclosure of pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda.
Well, from me, I do not have a pecuniary interest, but it's come to my attention that as my principal residence is next door to Georgina Maddox's property, I do have, I could have another significant interest. I'm conscious that much of the scope of this working group is to do with other things not related to the property, the charity, the investments and so forth. Organising surveys, managing works and so forth. But I've consulted with you, Mr. Chair, and I've consulted with the town clerk, and I've consulted with the monitoring officer. And the situation I face myself in is that my mandate, when I sought election, I made it quite clear that I was keen to progress the Maddox legacy, and I received a large number of votes on that. The other significant interest rules are really geared towards people who may have a planning application submitted, or there is something. And it could be argued that the maintenance of Bay Hall does affect my property. I would also argue that as the property is owned by Sandwich Town Council, it is in Sandwich Town Council's best interests to maintain the property in good order, type of thing. Sandwich Town Council obviously will have to decide whether to sell the property or convert it into a community hub. And I don't believe it's possible to evaluate the impact on my property as a kind of whichever route is decided. However, I am very clear that security aspects, if the property was vandalised, if there was fly tipping, if there were squatters, this would impact the value of my property. And so I don't believe that anybody who's got all of the full facts would kind of think there is a disclosable interest. But from my point of view, I've got other things to do, and I'm quite clear that I'm kind of working in the best interest. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, I will not offer any recommendations. I will not participate in any voting in respect of the big decisions that are to be made. But as I'm very familiar with the property, I'm more than happy to continue serving on the working group, and it's on that basis that I'm here. But I am willing to step down if anybody has a view that I should step down. I'm happy to step down.
No, I think it's important you stay, because there's a security point of view, you're right. And you also, with your expertise in the building industry, and you have other expertise, I think it's important you're here to contribute.
Thank you.
Explained to you the other day when I met you.
Okay, thank you for that.
Agreed.
I would agree with that. I think Councillor Breen, you've been very, very fair in saying what you have.
Yep.
But I think it's absolutely right that we welcome your expertise on this committee. And I would certainly like to see you continue and participate.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Right. Item 3. Public participation. A 15-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect of the business on the agenda. Individual representation should not exceed 3 minutes. Written notice of the desire to exercise the right to speak, together with the topic to be addressed, must be given to the interim town clerk prior to 4 o'clock on the Friday preceding the meeting.
No.
Item 4. Approved recommendations from Sandwich Town Council meeting on 26th of June 2023. Members to review the approved recommendations from the Sandwich Town Council meeting on 26th June 2023 and to discuss any progress made relating directly to these. Attachment 1. Okay, Councillor Gray.
Could I say, in accordance with that, following on from that council meeting, I wrote to the executors requesting a meeting between her, myself and the town clerk. The only response I had was a letter from them saying Nicola Hopper was on holiday until Monday, and I have heard nothing from her yesterday or on Monday. So I've noticed there's no progress.
No progress on that.
Yeah. I will chase her up.
Yeah.
I don't know what the response will be, but I will try and call her today and see if I can make some progress on that.
Do you think you need to escalate it yet?
Well, the question is, how do we escalate it?
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of people. There are a lot of questions around, particularly in the town. People are saying, what is happening on the Maddox estate? It came up at the recent town team meeting where people said, you need to escalate it. You need to report the executor to the solicitor's regulatory authority. I don't know. The problem is, if we escalated it that way, I think the solicitors would just come up and do nothing. Because they'd say it's under investigation. You called for an inquiry. The way to escalate it, I'm wondering, is if any councillors personally know any of the partners at Wellington and Barnes. Jeff, do you know Michael Griffiths?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I mean, I know some councillors. He's acted for them personally.
No, isn't it?
Not for you.
No. Only know him.
But I'm wondering whether
Whether
a word to him to say, look, this is getting very, very difficult. The council are getting very restless, and there's talk about taking it a step further. Is there anything you could do to hasten things and have a meeting with us so we can take it further? I don't know whether that would
I think they have
maybe
one
the
of their
next step.
partners, haven't they? I think it's one of their partners that's actually dealing with this, isn't it?
Nicola Hopper is dealing with it, but I think Michael Griffith is the named executor, and he's a senior partner.
Yeah.
So I think he is the person one should talk to. Do you agree, Peter? If we can't get any further, but let me see if I will try and talk to Nicola Hopper today.
Yeah.
And see if I can make any progress.
So I think,
Karen.
The town clerk phoned Nicola earlier today and has been promised a phone call back.
Oh, right.
So
Good.
I'll just
let's see
add
what
that.
happens.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, could I just raise on the executor? I was a little bit concerned when I saw a paper from the RFO stating that there are some £1.4 million of shares in total to come. I think this came out of the meeting that you had with the consultant. Was that the right number?
Yes.
And so, from my point of view, I'm kind of concerned about that because the estate was worth 3.4. I'm just trying to show a quick calculation.
Mm-hmm.
The estate, you can see the value of the estate there, the probate valuation. Yes, you can see the house valuation, and you can see an allowance that I've made there for the executor. And then that means that the total to be distributed is very clearly set out there, and 70% of that should come to Sandwich Town Council, so we can see a figure there to Sandwich Town Council, and the figure to be distributed amongst the churches. So far I've got a figure of cash received by Sandwich Town Council there and this anticipated value of future shares, which gives a total, which you can see there, and the variance between what we would have expected and what is forecast now is considerable. So when you're speaking with the executor, maybe there is some other reason, maybe some taxes had to be paid or something like that, but there is a significant variance there against our expectations.
I just add that EFG Harris All Day said until they're actually working for us, i.e. they have our forms back and they open an account, they're unable to give us proper figures.
Yeah.
So I'm not aware that they know what they are.
No, but that was the figure that you reported that they
Yes,
said.
that's the figure. That's the only figure they've
I
reported.
wasn't, I mean, I wasn't really able to reconcile that figure either when they gave it. I've got I have a copy of the probate valuation of the securities, which were just under 2.5 million. So that it
is even.
And we've only had £200,000 of those so far. So I can't reconcile the figures, which is why we must sit down with the executives and try and get out of them exactly where we are.
And where
And
we've
certainly
travelled
there
from.
seems to me, in all the figures that have been bandied about, I agree with Councillor Breen, there is a shortfall somewhere, which we can't reconcile.
Which they should be able to.
Which the executive should be able to
So that's
explain
what
to us.
I'm raising this because this is one of the queries I think needs to be
Yeah,
clarified.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we actually get the the people looking after the shares, because we've still got the forms here that we're still signing today. So it takes the time. It's all just, unfortunately, it's taking so long, isn't it?
Yeah. Jeff, I think this is really firmly the camp of the executors to demonstrate to us where they start from, where they are today, and how that journey has happened. Because there may be things there that we don't know about that have ate into that figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I think it's 2 years, September, isn't it?
It's a long time.
So it's, Okay.
I've just got a couple of other points on those, if that's okay, Jeff. So Peter, if it's going to come up in the main agenda, that's fine. It was just about the status of the survey that was going to go out. Don't want to debate now. If you're going to pick up on that, we have a debate later.
Whenever.
Okay. Should we wait on those? Just it's an action event. Then the other thing was the pre-planning advice on moving from residential to a community hub. The £200 that we did allocate to it. Let's just having an update on that, and I presume that will come under the main agenda as well.
Well, I asked the town clerk, she said she was going to work with the Dover District Council Planning Officer, but I think she's asked, hasn't she, for a meeting?
I asked her the other day, and she said she'd not heard back. So
We're still waiting on Dover
we're
District Council.
still waiting for Dover District Council.
Is it not an online application? Can we not just apply and pay the £200, and if we've got it wrong, they'll refund it to us?
I can check. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because we don't. I thought the idea was we get an architect in to draft out what we require, and then put that to Dover District Council, and then get rather than just wait.
No, this is for pre-planning advice.
Pre-planning advice.
Yeah, so it's before you would go for planning, before you do any drawings, because it's kind of getting a view in principle as
I know they've got a planning portal, haven't they?
Yeah, so you can load the request. You can load the request onto the planning portal and pay the fee, and then they will give you.
And they'll say indicatively it's a possibility, or it's a non-starter. At least it would help us.
Should we do that then?
I'll speak to the town clerk after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's anything else we're going to bring up? Okay. Is everyone happy with the minutes? Yeah. Okay, thank you. We approve them and second them? Okay, the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. until 5. Activities of the work, members invited to review the sequence of activities of the working group and to choose priority activity progress, PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
You're right there, Councillor.
So the first activity of the working group there was the charity, to establish the charity, to draft a constitution, agree trustees, register the charity, and decide on the investment strategy, governance arrangements, and then to move the charity to be in a position to receive grant applications. I don't know if any progress has been made with establishing the charity.
I think we instruct solicitors, won't we? Because I think there are specialist solicitors that construct charities. So I think the town clerk has actually been really busy, isn't she? So,
Incredibly busy,
yeah.
so that will be why if it hasn't started. But I don't know whether she feels she's had sufficient instruction.
We've got to decide what the status of the charity is, I suppose, as well, haven't we?
Well, I think, excuse me, I'm struggling. I think there's a number of things that we should be doing. We should be identifying how many trustees, how trustees are appointed, and kind of getting some thoughts and instructions about trustees. I think we should be looking at other charitable trusts and looking at their governing documents and highlighting out some of the key principles. I think we could be procuring the solicitors that we need. We need to maybe to issue a tender out for those, and we also probably need to procure an accountant who's going to audit the charity as well. So I think there are a lot of activities that need doing.
Yeah, I think it comes under the town council. It'd be similar to the Sandwich Tollbridge Fund. So that all the Sandwich, so I imagine all the Sandwich Town Councillors will be trustees of the charity, I should imagine.
So I think so.
I would actually like to propose that the charity should be what's called the CIO, which is a charitable incorporated organisation, which is a fairly new process which the Charity Commission have introduced, whereby the charity is an incorporated body, which is very important because an ordinary charity leaves the trustees personally liable for any problems with it. It's like a limited company, except it's regulated by the Charity Commission, not by the Companies House. There are two types of CIO which you can use, and we need to decide which is which. The Charity Commission have prepared a model forms of constitution, which they advise all charities to adopt wherever possible. So really the constitution is almost there. And the biggie thing to decide is what type of charity it should be. And the second is who the trustees should be. The difference between the two types of charities is they have what they call a foundation model or an association model. In the foundation model, only the trustees have any powers of voting. In the association type, then the members of the trustees have power. In a case like this, where there is one large lump sum going into the charity, I would recommend that we should consider the foundation model. And the main and major question is who the trustees should be, whether it should be the whole council, as in the Tollbridge Fund, or whether the initial trustees should be a selection of councillors. And I have no real strong views on that. And I don't know what the feeling of the council would be on that.
As the request was left to Sandwich Town Council, would it be risky to have only a few trustees who may not get re-elected, and then with trustees that are no longer here? So if it's in the name of the
council, then it's the
And then it's
body.
changeable
Yeah.
as time goes by.
Yeah, I agree with Karen, you Jeff, that it's because Georgina left it to Sandwich Council and the Tolby's Fund is run by which is Sandwich Council, they are the trustee. I feel that it should run alongside the Tolby's Fund with similar setup as what the Tolby's Fund is now. So as for instance, the trustee should be Sandwich Council, because I can be here next week. Peter couldn't be here in that a year's 2 years time. So if we're still the trustees, I don't think it would be democratic for everyone. Maybe if for the next meeting, maybe if we can get some details regarding the foundation CIO to have a look at, so then we can probably start the ball rolling to get the charity set up.
So just picking up on that point, so this is the first time we've met since June, so 3 months have elapsed between summer and everything. But picking up on the point somebody mentioned, either Nick or Peter, some people beyond this room are saying what's happening. I think the visual is brilliant, but what it hasn't got is ownership of tasks and also timescales. So whilst timescales may go awry, we can at least then report we haven't achieved because of things. At the moment, my view is we're not really driving this forward sufficiently, Jeff. So I think for me, the charity thing, sorry to say it, Nick, I think you're the right person and saying, actually, I'll put my hand up for the next meeting, I will develop X and bring it to the meeting. That way we're actually tying down things. At the moment, we can stare at that till the cows go home. It doesn't mean we'll get anything done.
No. I agree.
No, that's fine. I'm very happy to agree that for our next meeting I will come back with a suggested form of constitution of the charity, and I will also come back with a recommendation as to who we should instruct to actually go ahead and incorporate it. And I do agree that the charity should be set up so that the council are the trustees, like the Tollbridge Fund. The individual council is the trustees, it is the council who are the trustees. And I think we should do the same, and I think we should propose the same here. So I'm happy to agree to take that on, and I'll report back at the next meeting, which I hope maybe should be in a couple of weeks or 2 or 3
If you need some help, I'm happy to anyone has anybody else might be willing to.
How long would you take? Do you think we should have another meeting prior to the town council
Well,
meeting?
the Charity Commission are taking 60 days to incorporate charities from the day they receive the application.
I just think should we make a recommendation to the town council so that we proceed with this charitable status?
So I think it would be too ambitious to take it to the next town council meeting because we need to sit down ourselves.
I think we need to have. I think we need to take it to the next working meeting, and from that we make a recommendation to the next council meeting.
At least we'll get the timetable, aren't we?
Exactly.
But then we have a timetable.
Is that January, February time?
No, November.
Oh, okay.
In the November meeting.
Yeah, and if we can get it to the November council meeting, then it'll be January, February, March before the charity is actually constituted. We then have a timetable.
All agree with that?
Sorry, could I thank you for saying you would make a recommendation as to the solicitor that should be involved. Is it appropriate to ask the RFO to make a recommendation as to the accountant who would audit the charity?
Well, we currently use McCabe Ford Williams for the Tollbridge Fund, no longer for the town council because we're now using a different charity, a different company. But those are the only people that I've dealt with for many years, so I would trust them. But if anyone has any better ideas,
well, I think we would welcome your advice on the matter, and I think if you made a proposal, just as we're welcoming Councillor Gray's advice on the solicitor, if you made a recommendation as well, that would be good.
Councillor Green, would you require a glass of water?
I would quite like a glass of water, actually.
Excuse me. Yeah,
but
come ask.
I'll go and get it.
You sure?
Yeah.
You know where they are?
Yeah.
It's a bit dry.
Well spotted, Jeff. Good chairmanship.
Did we get that? 527.
Thank you.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You get it? I got it. Okay. So 250, other matters I think that's quite important, yeah.
So just going down the process plan, the next thing was the executor. I think we've already discussed that. The next work stream is really the financial, overseeing the investments, and we've had this meeting with the share company, the share managers, and the forms are here to be signed today, are they? Did I pick that up? Have they been signed now?
I just need the mayor to sign, and I'm seeing him later today, so.
Okay, the next item is really to do with the Bay Hall hub.
So that's,
The next work stream. Sorry, I missed a line there. Manage the costs and the monthly report. Is there anything to report on that?
I produced this morning, which is the cash
yeah.
No.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
held as at the end of September.
Alright. Yeah.
But that's just a very simple account to show cash.
Okay. Can I just ask on this, the dividend that was received? There was a deduction from the overall dividend, and I think you clarified at the meeting with the share managers that it wasn't them who'd made the charge, it was indeed the solicitors. Is that
I
correct?
haven't had an answer from the solicitor to confirm that. That's just my conjecture, that it may be because the solicitors made the calculation, they have made a deduction for associated fees
Right.
to do with meetings and phone calls and emails.
Okay.
That's my conjecture, but I have tried to get a reply and a confirmation, but I haven't had one.
Okay, well, again, if you're having meetings with the executors, it would be useful to clarify that because, over £3,000 has been deducted. We haven't received an invoice for it. We haven't received any breakdown of it, and I think the council is entitled to understand why the dividend. They haven't received the full dividend payment, and that deduction has been made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's thanks.
Yeah,
for
thanks for that. Just a very small item though, Jeff, is around the, and it's not included in the tenders when we talk about it, the actual the day-to-day maintenance of the property. I'm talking specifically about the grass cutting outside. That's not taking place so far. Have we got something in train to get that done, or
That's all part of the contract, because I think there's going to be two items. One was going to be like the trees, and one was going to be the general maintenance. Peter's been doing. I've got a mower. So Peter's been doing.
if there's a solution,
little
that's
bit.
fine. It's just the grass is
Well,
grass.
it's further down. It's kind of line 60 on here.
That's fine.
But seeing you've raised it,
Yeah.
we're now getting into the fact that we've received quotes for felling the trees. We've received 3 quotes for felling the trees, but I don't believe we've received quotes for the general grass cutting. But the chair, Councillor Franklin, did acquire a mower, and he did buy some fuel for it,
And a can, wrong can.
and a can. Yeah, so I think we should, thank the mayor. I don't know, the chair, whether he should claim his expenses from the Maddox fund or not. I'll leave that for his discretion. But yes, I've been mowing the grass just immediately on the drive, so that Mrs. Thomas can park a car and so that the drive does look maintained. But a number of people I've stopped frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are complaining that it looks neglected, it looks abandoned, and that then raises my concerns about the risk of fly tipping, the risk of squatters, and the risk of graffiti and vandalism and so forth.
Yeah.
So the action is what?
The action is we've got 3 quotes for felling the trees at the moment.
Yeah.
The town clerk has the schedule of works for mowing the grass and stuff like that, and it's just a question of getting interested organisations to quote.
This would be like a general maintenance project.
Yeah.
Because the trees would be a one-off project.
Yes, yeah, and then it's on
And then we want like a proper
Yeah.
maintenance.
So does that sit with the officers to get those quotes in? Sorry, Karen, is that?
Well, as Jill has tried to get the trees maintenance, then I assume yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I did actually speak to the one of the chappies that was surveying it, and he said there'd be 2 estimates. One would be for the trees, and one would be for general maintenance. But they have, because it's 2 different departments apparently.
Yeah.
One is
So it would be really good if we come back to the next meeting with some quotes for the
actual general maintenance, ongoing maintenance. Yeah, there's a lot of ongoing maintenance.
Does all the overgrown boundaries come under general maintenance? That was pretty heavy duty stuff, doesn't it? Does that come under sort of clearance of trees as well?
Yeah, because we're quite concerned with some of the trees, the telephone lines and different things, and some of the trees are past their date really, like there's some actual dead trees, even some of the Rawsonia, they look good from the front, but when you go around the back they're dead, so they're 50% dead. And there's, I did test the Bramley apple tree, but it's got bitter pip, so I think that's had its day. So I think we do a good clearing and then start fresh. Because we are worried about there's part of the ancient town wall there, which over the years the residents have put trees there, which they should have done. They're really, really too close. We're worried about the rooting system. So I know it may probably upset some people, but I think it's a thing we'll have to, bite the bullet really and get on with it and get it done correctly.
We'll come on to that in a minute.
Right, so in terms of the trees, we've got these 3 quotes for various reasons. Are we recommending that we should go with the lowest quote? Is that going to go to the council for approval? What's the next step with the quotes that have been received?
So could I just ask a couple of questions on the process? So when I look at the quotes, 2 of them mirror each other exactly. But I don't understand the approach that's taken because the 3rd one is off kilter. So I'd just like to know, did you give a requirements list and ask them to work to that? Because then the 3rd one, to some extent, rules itself out if they weren't able to respond to a clear requirements list. And wrapped around that is the need to at least consult with Dover District in terms of, as we mentioned already, ancient monument, conservation area, anything to do with trees. You do need at least to contact them to make sure that
you get planning
you
permission.
do. Good. Yeah. So as long as we can park that, if we say yes, that's part of the process before we do any work. But my first question is, how did we approach this? Because I'm just slightly worried one of the quotes really misses off. There are different numbers of trees quoted, different types of trees. So why did the 3rd quote come?
Well, they've all been given the same schedule in terms of scope of work. I noticed that the most expensive quote, they put a note on it to say that they were using a hydraulic working platform and those pieces of kit are very expensive, whereas tree surgeons normally climb the trees and just use ropes to come down. So I took it that the reason the 3rd quote was more expensive was because of the way they do the method of doing the work was different from the others, but the others quotes and the 2 other organisations are well established and well known, especially in the area.
So I think knowing that, Jeff, my personal view would be that you go with the lowest quote because you gave a clear specification, you got clear responses from the two, and one of those is the lowest quotes.
Yeah.
I don't, and you're saying the reputations of M&O, I don't know why you would go for anything higher, particularly the one that's the highest.
Yeah.
That's just my
Are
personal
you
view.
happy with that?
Yeah, so are we saying that
We recommend the lowest quote.
we recommend the lowest quote, so that's got to go to the full council now for approval.
Then we'll have to get planning permission to
Yes.
check the
Yeah.
trees. I think mostly there's one coming down, isn't there?
Even, sorry, I'm just looking at the side because
We'll have to check.
things like cutting down, topping, lopping, uprooting, all those things require engagement with DGC
Especially the
first.
pollarding as well.
Yeah.
Especially if the tree hasn't been pollarded before.
Yeah.
So we need someone from
Yeah.
the council to inspect the project as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, quite often the tree surgeons do liaise with the council
Yeah.
and get the permission.
Yeah, they work very close together, don't they?
If we're going to use the lowest quote, wouldn't it be a good idea to speak to them as well to see if they would keep the area maintained? For instance, cutting the grass and stuff. Do they do just the trees, or do they do the landscaping as a whole, cutting grass and stuff?
They do
They are.
landscaping.
So landscape, it is a
So
landscape.
maybe have a conversation with them to see if they
Not
would
to
keep.
my knowledge.
Maybe it's have a conversation with them, and if it's approved by council, they keep upkeep of the landscape.
Well, yeah, I don't believe they do normal garden maintenance.
We might have to get 3 more quotes to do the actual. We have to have to tenders for the actual the day-to-day monthly.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach. So if they do or don't, I think we should get
3 more.
Yeah.
There might be some local person that could do it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
What, a local person with a big mower?
Or we could hire one.
and a can of petrol.
I think I've had a few coffees here. Okay.
Okay. So that do we want to continue talking about the maintenance of the building?
I think we need to go on to that on item 6, haven't we?
Oh, I'm lost on that.
Yeah, I think we've jumped to that.
We jumped.
Seven,
We
but
jumped,
we
yeah,
need
we
to jump back
jumped,
to
yeah.
6.
Seven tick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should go on.
Right. Sorry. So just finishing off on item 5, activities for the working group. We lost the TV. There was a requirement to, we said we would draft a survey to be issued to local organisations.
Yeah.
And if you remember, we did this and we took it to council, and council gave their approval that we should issue the the survey. That was the survey, and on the survey we'd included a sketch of the building. So since the architect's report, sorry, I'm on. Since the architect's report, I've basically updated this survey to include the sketch plans that the architect had provided, and also at the back we said, you know, we asked in the organisation in this survey, we asked, would you please describe what activities you would do in a future layout? But the architect came up with 3 different options for the future layout. So I've updated the survey to include those 3 options so that organisations could vote for which option they found better, or which option they preferred.
I think also, I'm not happy with some of the proposals myself. Some of the, you know, because it's only her suggestions, isn't it?
It is.
And I've talked to Lester, who's, you know, very involved in education and different things. And I think like the toilets, wasn't it, was one of the main concerns as well.
Yeah.
Especially if we really want it also for gays and sorts and educational visits for children for gays and I think one of the provisions was for access to toilets and wash your hands facilities. And education, because I also had an email from the Sandwich Society and they're very keen to get involved for educational purposes. So I haven't WhatsApp that because that's something else, but it's different age groups, it's different things, but if we want to sort of use it, they want to include the whole lot of the Stour Valley. Make it a Kent project as well, East Kent project, and they're very interested in educational helping us.
Okay. So, sorry, I've called up the updated survey there, so that's the front page now, which has got the layout that the architect provided, and then at the end there is the 3 options that the architect came up with. So asking to vote. In terms of the toilets, in option 1 there are 2 disabled toilets. In option 2 there is 1 disabled toilet and 1 normal toilet. And then in option 3 there is 1 disabled toilet and 1 normal toilet. So each of the options have 2 toilets, although option 1 has 2 disabled toilets.
I'm not sure that from an educational perspective, if you were to take children on site, that would be sufficient. That's really at the lower end, I would have thought. I think that might need to be looked at again, to be quite honest. I mean, obviously, I'm not entirely familiar with all the rules and regulations, but whether or not a member of staff would use a disabled loo, that would sort that issue out, and then you just got the issue of boys and girls. And just to have 1 of each doesn't seem to me to be adequate if you're taking groups out for effectively a day or half a day. So that needs to be looked at quite closely.
It wants a lot of tweaking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the option 1 with the lounge, that bedroom wall looking out. But I'm not sure about the enlarging the kitchen like that.
So I think we're veering into one. For me, the real elephant in the room is about the feasibility of the building. But let's not drown in that yet. What Peter's talking about is this survey, and I think we should go out to get a view from the community about demand. I think also, and I was going to flag this up, I would suggest in parallel we should also just do a temperature check of community facilities that are already available in terms of their usage. So what we are likely to get here, if there is a demand, is people moving from elsewhere. And if we've got other facilities that are struggling in terms of usage, why would we possibly want to steal their customers for another community hub? And this isn't me predetermining where we go with this, it's just about making sure we have the full set of facts. So we've got Jubilee Centre, capacity, usage may be very low at the moment, I think it could be. We also have the Guildhall, we also have the church at St Clement's, the hall. So all those things will be impacted, Jeff, probably by customers looking at this facility. So that's just one, I think that's just one complete thing to look at, to get the data. We will separately in a minute talk about the actual feasibility, because I think that is a beast in itself and we need to talk about sensibly.
So that's why I think we keep it smaller rooms.
Yeah.
So you keep it smaller rooms, like meeting rooms. We don't really want one big space, because then you are really competing with other areas.
Possibly,
I think from my point of view, the layouts that the architect have proposed are just initial ideas. The survey clearly asks for the activities, it asks for the number of people, and it asks for their age distribution, whether they're adults, youths or children. And once you know the number of people and the distribution, the building regulations determine the number and the amount of toilets that are needed. So, that is a legal requirement. So if we get responses from organisations that want to bring children into it, and then we're able to give, and the council are in agreement that we want to explore these options. We give it to an architect. You know, that is the sequence that we've identified.
Yeah.
The architect then develops the feasibility schemes.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong to take on board what was the condition survey and some initial thoughts that came out of the condition survey. We're not prejudging what the final layout would be here.
No.
This is just the condition survey. So if we stick with the condition survey, the reason we haven't issued it out, although the council approved we could issue it out, is because, as I said, I've incorporated these new layouts. So I would ask the working group to approve the modifications I've made to the survey, and if people are happy, then guide as to whether it needs to go back to full council, which I think the change is immaterial really, and it should be ready to issue out to the organisations.
I would agree, but just to caveat that slightly, Peter, is that when sending it out, also copy it to the councillors, all councillors, and they may have to say this is what we've gone forward with.
Yeah.
Can we ask the people to sort of do their own diagram or not?
No, we haven't asked them to do their own diagram. We've just asked them to give an option on that, but they can give comments. On. Please indicate below which option your organisation and list the activities you'd like to undertake. Please include the numbers of people attending and the equipment needed. Also identify any activities you'd like to undertake outside in the garden.
So we've identified the community groups.
We have a list of the community groups. Yes, I have a list of the community groups.
So there should be no reason for it maybe being issued at the start of next week. Would that be sensible? I'm just trying to put some timescales around this, Peter, so we can say, yes, actually, we'll run the exercise for 3 weeks or for however long you feel is comfortable.
So you'll see on the screen there now, I did receive a list of the community organisations and the contacts there. So they're in alphabetical order from age concern, which is on line 3, down to line 69, the White Mills Aqua Park. So there are some 66 community organisations on there.
Okay. So, is it feasible for it to go out next week?
Absolutely, you know, it's a question as to who sends it out, and I think we previously discussed that paper copies would be available at reception downstairs, and the survey could be posted in kind of the notice boards outside, and others could be invited.
Can I ask if the Royal British Legion are in there? Because I know they have been looking for some space to use.
No.
Yeah, if we could add that in, that'd be great. I'll send you the details.
Sort of sandwich society, they said anything as well.
They're not there, are
Well, I did put this list out, and we did receive comments. I think
She only contacted me a week or so ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So for example, so again, just as a supplementary, as an action to this could go onto the council website and the council Facebook page, because actually you're saying this is our list.
Yeah.
Anybody that feels they want to be included and added just need to contact the town clerk.
Yeah, I just wonder whether, because I had that lovely email, that I think was going from the Sandwich Society, if they're interested, or whether we just
We can drop them in now.
drop them in,
Sandwich Society.
Yeah, the Sandwich Society. Yeah, apparently quite a discussion about it.
I can't see the screen in its entirety. Does it only include sandwich schools, no others? So you wouldn't consider going out to any of the near villages? mean, Worth, which is just outside, and Eastbury, and Ash and so on.
That's really handy with the facilities for toilets or somewhere to eat, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the work of Georgina's will itself, did it say?
Just that local community
I think
organisations.
it's, I would suggest surrounding villages as well.
Should really be. It should really be. Certainly for the junior schools anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
What other ones? Eastbury.
Eastbury,
Eastbury,
Ashworth, Woodlandsborough.
Well, there's one Woodlandsborough there.
Okay. But you know, we're not trying to
No.
be totally definitive on this. You know, it's
Right.
open to all comers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just measuring demand.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay.
And if you're putting it out, then it might be good that you get a response from local schools more than just, the
Yeah, no,
ones that
agree.
sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
So
also, there's also the Sandwich Folk Club, it's quite new. They're in the King's Arms at the moment, if that's not on there.
Yes. They're not on there.
Because I know Georgina Maddox used to like the music, especially folk music. She used to be in the Folk and Alpha Festival quite a lot. So.
Yeah, I just play the flute and piano still. Yeah, not a lot of people just want music lessons.
Maybe. Yeah. So Peter, if you are earning some, could we set a date of say by the end of next week that it's ready to go out?
who's actually going to issue it? I assume it's going to be, issued through the town clerk or
Yeah.
Lois, not me personally.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, it should be done by the town clerk.
Yes.
You want to get back to us with meeting the addresses and contact details, don't you?
Mm.
And should we give 3 weeks for response? Is that enough? Is
Yeah.
that too little, too much?
So that's appropriate. If people don't respond within 3 weeks, they're not going to
On the 4th week.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, that'll be another thing we can wrap to next meeting, can't we, Jeff? We can bring back to next meeting the responses.
Mm.
Right. So all of the subsequent activities on this process flow diagram are kind of related to getting that survey back in and then analysing it and being able to move forward and instructing architects and so forth. So I think it's too early to start talking about getting a list of architects to kind of look at it, but let's wait and see what comes back from the survey.
So I might say knock it down and put a new building up. Don't have to do all your alterations.
Right, well that leads us quite neatly into the property maintenance is the next activity, and maybe we should wrap that in with the condition survey, because we've had this survey in from the architect, and our thanks to Jill Griffiths
we record that.
for doing that. And I think it's been, very informative in many respects. From kind of my point of view, it's called for additional surveys. It's called for an asbestos survey and a structural survey. I think that's something that we need to look at. In terms of maintenance, besides the grass and the trees, it's talked about the boiler, checking the electrical, cleaning the gutters and the downpipes and so forth. So there are maintenance tasks that urgently need progressing. And at the last council meeting, the council approved up to £2,000 for incidental spending for doing this work. Now I don't know whether the new caretaker could spend a day down there, but we should instruct a plumber to service the boiler if the boiler is to be kept working over the winter.
Yeah, I think that's already taken care of, the boiler and the electrics.
No, I don't know whether anyone's actually looked at the boiler, but we do have a plumber
So I'm just going to suggest, because I think this is a really good starting point, Peter, that I think the issue we've got is unless we build this out more, things might be said, yes, we need to do this, but then we come back to next meeting and realise it can. So I think there are sub-lines here. So the general maintenance is boiler survey or whatever it is for the boiler needs to be done, and we need to say we need this to be done by end of December or end of November, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be done next week, but we just need to have these things visible, or else we will be consumed.
Well, a year ago, I think.
Regarding the boiler, I think now the weather's turning, I think it's probably quite important it's done very quickly.
Correct.
Get boiler survey, maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, not close to freeze, do we make it on that low setting mark?
Gutter clearing, key thing for the winter.
Yeah.
So we just need to have that visible.
Or those things really need doing now.
Yeah.
The boiler, the gutters, and we should have the electrics checked because
should be checked.
you know and they should be checked every 5 years because we don't know when Georgina last had them.
No.
Lights will be left on over the winter and people are going in there turning lights on and so forth. You know, so I think it's important to get those. The boiler and the gutters would take priority over the electrical, but the electrical should be done in the next couple of months.
Do we have to get 3 estimates of which issues that people that will use?
Well, below 3,000, we technically don't need to get 3 estimates.
Can I make a suggestion? Well, I know the council use Housebound, the building contractors. Maybe if the working group agrees to contact them as soon as possible, because I know that they're all. I know they've got gas safe, and I know they're plumbers and they're general builders, big company as well. So maybe we could speak to them to see if they could go in there and within the budget that we have to use for the works that are needed.
Happy with that? I'm happy with that. Just
Yeah.
get them down, have a look, and make sure we're all okay. Once we've got this, we can then set up regular maintenance, proper maintenance schedule, where it can't be everything.
The final thing I would like to say about the survey or the condition survey, it has set out in general terms quite extensive amount of work that needs doing to the property, structural alterations to widen the corridors, dealing with cracking, you know, the work outside in terms of height of access and so forth, and it's identified cracks and suspect damp, and you know it's saying that there are things like heaters, cord pull heaters in the toilets at the moment that need to be removed and so forth.
Disconnecting.
So it's quite extensive, the amount of work that needs doing.
And that was the comment I wrote down as well here for you to having looked through that. I think it's a significant programme of work, and we do need to be realistic rather than emotionally tied to the intention around this. Is realistic, and we'll do it evidence-based along the way, so we do get a priced up survey at some point that gives us a really good feel about how much it costs, because I think it's going to come at a significant cost.
If we wanted an asbestos survey, if it come under 3,000, can we authorise that or something?
Well, council approved 2,000 for.
It depends how much estate. There's only a couple of asbestos there, I think.
What the estimate is,
The only other thing is to go to the council next council meeting and request a further £2,000 to just for the asbestos.
On an annual monthly
So then we have
amount.
so then we have one £2,000 budget for the building works, and then another set budget just for the asbestos, because that is.
Well, if you're doing this survey, then you've got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, that budget will do. Hopefully, that budget. If the council approves that budget, it will do both. If the budget is okay.
Yeah. So the report identified asbestos in 4 places. The garage, the soffits, the boiler, and the tiles. The 4 tiles.
So would
I think it skips about £800 in this.
So again, rather than rushing off and trying to do things and doing them dysfunctionally, my sense is that we go to the STC in November gives us 6 weeks to prepare the charity-related stuff, but also to come with a clear view in terms of what maintenance and the costs are around that, and then we can get the agreement, Jeff, because you can ask for a bit more money now, but actually I think we just need to be able to say to STC, we've worked it through and this is what it looks like as a
Yeah, but I think like
clear
Councillor
proposal.
Rees said, we might need a bigger allowance for
We
certain
might
things.
do, we might do,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I think we, yeah.
It's got to be
As costs come
I'm
in.
happy, I'm happy with what Emmett's saying. If we're going to do it, let's do it properly
Yeah.
and get everything together and say, right, this is what we need to do. We've got the £2,000, we need extra for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else we'll come back every STC and by the way,
Yeah.
before this and we
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just add to that, if we do get this survey issued in the next week, we should, by the time the town council meeting comes in 6 weeks' time in November, we should have some initial
Yeah.
Yeah,
analysis.
sorry, that was exactly my point. That was the third stream that I
Yeah.
forgot about. Yeah, it needs to be added in.
Okay.
So it's quite a meaty thing to say
Oh.
to STC, I think, in November.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least we could have had the hiatus for 3 months, at least we'd have trying to catch up, aren't we? A bit like the town clerk.
We should have an assets manager there then.
Yeah.
We should have a deputy town clerk by then, so staffing will have improved.
Okay, I think that's, we finished that kind of the process, reviewing the process there, and
Really good. I think we've got all these buttoned up now, haven't we?
I think it's done.
I think we've done it, I think it's
Yeah.
quite garden maintenance.
Yeah, the only thing I was
We've got
going
three quotes
to
there.
add in, and for Karen particularly, when we start talking to the DDC about the work that we want to do, conservation work, etc. We also need to consult possibly the environmental agency if we're doing any works to the back, because if it's within 8 metres of their water, which it probably is, if we're going to do any substantial work of the trees, we have to get their permission as well. It's never simple.
Even roots in house.
Exactly.
can I have permission to do
Before
it?
tree works are done. Before tree
Yeah,
works are
yeah,
done.
if it's within 8 metres of water, the environmental agency have to say it's okay to do
Is
it.
that something the tree surgeon might know?
You would hope, so, particularly if they're sandwich based, I'm sure we do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
There's water everywhere.
Well, I think the actual ones were heard about by the town, but they went away from them.
Yeah.
It's a trouble when people just planted trees, they never thought about the roots. Oh, that looked pretty there, that looked like, that shelter that. There you go. You're happy? Any
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah, it's very
Yes,
good.
yeah, thank you for coming.
So the next meeting, would it be sensible to come back in terms, I know Peter's out of the room, but in terms of what you want to do, Nick, round about the 26th of October, which does give us enough time for
Yeah,
the STC. You're away, aren't you?
I'm away from the 17th of October to the 7th of November, for 3 weeks. So really, I couldn't attend a meeting till after the 7th of November.
So STC is next on, in November one is on the 27th,
Yes,
which means papers would need to be ready by the 23rd.
yes,
Yeah.
So we need to meet before 23rd.
we do, yes,
And with enough time to come out of that meeting to
Yeah,
be able to do
yeah.
the prep stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So you're back on Wednesday? What date are
I'm
you
back
back?
on the 7th of November, so I could meet
So we could do it.
either that week or the
Yeah.
next
Week of the
after that.
13th.
The week beginning the 13th.
It's on, what, you on there, Morgan?
yes, it's just other meetings, if we've got anything else scheduled, I'll have to
Mm.
check it.
There's no main committee meetings, I don't think. I haven't got any in my diary. I don't think it's a planning meeting, but possibly that week of the 13th of November. Actually, I've got the STC, so.
Yeah, it might be, yeah. So, what day are you recommending then? Is this, Thursdays, aren't we?
Thursday,
Yeah. What day do you reckon? So, what day would you like to recommend a date, Nicholas? Would you-
Thursday of that week, 16th, 17th?
16th?
16th.
Yeah, Thursday rather than Friday, yeah.
I
Yeah.
prefer a Friday if you don't.
You prefer Friday?
Yeah.
I don't really, what's it, Friday?
Don't quote me at the moment, I don't know my work
So
schedule.
Friday, you say Friday,
Yeah.
17th.
I'll try and,
What, November?
Yes.
try and change, I'll try and,
That's
Same
okay.
time?
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
10:30?
Friday the 17th.
Yeah.
10:30?
Yeah.
10:30.
busy week that week.
10:30.
So 10:30. 10:30, okay? That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. No, I have to change mine for up. Okay. Okay, thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Christine.